Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Josh. Today is Sunday, June 14th, and in today's video we are going to be discussing the second stimulus check, what things are looking positive towards us receiving a second stimulus check, and which things are not looking so good as far as us receiving a second stimulus payment goes. Now, before I get started in this video, if you wouldn't mind just giving this video a like, I would greatly appreciate it. It helps with the YouTube algorithm in terms of pushing this video out to other viewers like you, so I would greatly appreciate it if you could do so. Now, I do want to start this video out by mentioning that there are still millions of people who haven't even received their first stimulus payment, which is ridiculous because these started going out months ago and there's still people that haven't received their stimulus payment. So if you're one of those people who haven't yet received your first stimulus payment, just know that you're not alone, and as long as you earn less than $99,000 as filing single or less than $198,000 filing married, then you're definitely eligible, unless of course you have something like past due child support that could potentially offset the stimulus payment, or if you were claimed as a dependent for whatever reason that could also potentially offset your stimulus payment. Also, keep in mind, if you did not file a tax return in either 2018 or 2019, then you should go ahead and fill out the non-filers tool on the IRS website. That would be if you either did not work or if you made such low income that you weren't even required to fill out a tax return. So it would be important for you to go ahead and quickly fill out the non-filers tool. Of course, I will mention that if you receive Social Security benefits such as SSI or SSDI and you receive those benefits before 2020, then it would not be necessary for you to do so. Okay, so with that said, if you do have any other questions about your first stimulus payment and why you may not have received one, feel free to leave it a comment in the comment section below and I will try to get to it. Additionally, there's also a really good Q&A on the IRS website, which I will link in the description box below, and it actually answers a lot of the common questions as far as the first stimulus payment goes. Okay, so at this point, I'm gonna move right along to talking about the second stimulus check and the possibility of us receiving one. And I'm gonna start this out by talking about some of the things that aren't looking so good as far as us receiving a second stimulus check. The first thing that I will mention is that businesses are opening back up and the unemployment rate is down, which is kind of a surprise to a lot of us because we thought we would continue to see the unemployment rate continue to rise. We're seeing malls opening up, gyms are opening, even restaurants are almost operating at 100% capacity throughout the United States, which all in all is really good news. Returning to somewhat normalcy is a great thing to see. However, with this return to normalcy, it may reduce the chances of receiving a second stimulus payment, as some people may just not feel that it's necessary. Another reason that we may not receive another stimulus payment is that Congress may think that we're just spending too much money. The CARES Act that was passed was $2.2 trillion, and the HEROES Act that was recently passed by the House of Representatives was $3 trillion, which was even more than the CARES Act. So the HEROES Act was pretty much dead on arrival in the Senate, as the Senate does not want to spend $3 trillion. They certainly don't want to spend more than the CARES Act at $2 trillion. I think their budget might be more around $1 trillion, and at $1 trillion with everything else that they want to include in the bill, I think it'll be hard to squeeze in additional stimulus payments to the American people. Additionally, another reason we may not see another stimulus payment is that Congress isn't sure whether these stimulus payments that are going out are targeted enough. For example, are we spending money more wisely on small businesses and keeping small businesses afloat, which allows them to keep their employees on, which allows the American people to continue to get paid? Or are we spending money better just sending direct checks to the American people? That's questions they all have to figure out. Okay, so now that I talked about some of the reasons we may not receive a second stimulus payment, I want to quickly jump into some of the reasons that we should be optimistic about receiving a second stimulus payment. Okay, so first off, I'm going to talk about unemployment. And like I mentioned earlier, unemployment is decreasing, which is great news. People are getting their jobs back. However, it's still pretty high and a lot of people still don't have their jobs. So with that said, it may be necessary to receive a second stimulus payment. Secondly, kind of to branch off the first one, even though businesses are opening back up, we are seeing cases of the virus continue to rise in certain states. So we have to wonder, is there going to be a second wave? Or perhaps is the first wave not even over with? So if we do see another big rise in the cases, are we going to have to go back into lockdown again? And if we do go back into lockdown, there may be a need for another round of stimulus payments. Thirdly, you could also make an argument that the first round of stimulus payments did not reach enough people. So like for college students, for example, who were claimed as dependents on their parents' tax returns. And then you also had grown adults who were also claimed by perhaps like their kids on their tax returns, and they weren't eligible to receive the stimulus payments either. So you had many people who were not eligible for the $1,200 stimulus payments and they were left out. So that's why you can make a case there could be a need for another round of stimulus payments. And last but not least, another really good sign of receiving another stimulus payment is politics. And yes, this is an election year. Voting will come up in November. It'll be Donald Trump versus Joe Biden. And I'm sure that Donald Trump would love nothing more but to send another round of stimulus payments to the American people, especially having his name on the check. That would go a long way politically, especially when it comes time to vote in the voting booth. Now, I'm sure there are some people who would vote for Donald Trump regardless whether or not he sends another round of stimulus checks. And of course, on the other side of the spectrum, there's people who wouldn't vote for Donald Trump no matter what he did. But of course, there are some people in the middle who aren't sure whether or not to vote for Trump or Biden, so they could perhaps be swayed by another stimulus check. Okay, so at this point, I want to talk about the timing of the second stimulus check. So as you know, the HEROES Act already passed the House of Representatives, but as far as the Senate goes, that bill was pretty much dead on arrival. There is just too much fluff in that bill. Well, it was $3 trillion, which, as I said before, that's much more than the Senate really wants to spend. They're looking at closer to $1 trillion, maybe $2 trillion maximum. So the Senate at this point in time is going to have to rewrite a bill, and they're not even going to get started on a new bill until they get back from their 2-week recess, which begins in early July. Then whenever they get back from their 2-week recess, which extends from July 3rd through July 17th, they'll have until August 10th to come up with that new bill. And then on August 10th, they go on another recess through September 7th. So as you can see, the Senate really doesn't have too much time to write this bill with all the time off that they have. However, let's say that they do pass the bill at the end of July, it would be something that the House would also have to agree on. And since the House is controlled by Democrats, the Democrats would obviously have to have a piece of the bill. The Republicans in the Senate would have to have a piece of the bill, so it would have to be something that they both agree on. And then finally, President Trump would also have to agree to it before this bill becomes a law. So with all that said, the earliest that this bill could possibly become a law would really be sometime in August, which means the earliest we could receive our stimulus payment might be like August, possibly September, and possibly even October, which conveniently comes right before November. And we all know what happens in November. That's right, we're voting for the president. And that would be really, really, really good timing for President Trump. And like I said, there's going to be certain people who wouldn't vote for Trump no matter what he did. And of course, there's going to be people who would vote for Trump regardless whether or not he passes another stimulus payment to the American people. But as I mentioned, this could pay huge dividends to people in the middle who could possibly be swayed by another stimulus payment. Now, with all that said, like I've mentioned before, I'm not sure why they don't just create one single simple bill where they're sending stimulus payments to the American people. There's really just too much fluff in these bills. If your main purpose is helping the American people, I'm not sure why you don't just create a single bill for that. I'm not sure why you have to create other fluff in the bill. I'm not sure why you have to add in student loan relief to a bill for stimulus payments for the American people. If you want to help out students and help reduce student loans, why not create a separate bill for student loans or create a separate bill for small businesses? I would think you would be able to condense things much easier if you had a single purpose, and for that single purpose you made one bill, and then if you have another purpose, just create another bill for that. I'm not sure why we're creating 20 political agenda ideas into one bill and trying to pass it all in one bill. Additionally, if you just had one bill for a stimulus payment just to the American people, that would also reduce the cost. So we wouldn't be looking at these crazy $3 trillion bills. Even though sending out additional stimulus payments to the American people would still be costly, it would still be much cheaper than cramming a bunch of our other political agendas into the same bill. In the end, we will see how everything plays out. The Republicans and the Democrats both want to come out as the good guy, and I think Donald Trump knows that pushing out another stimulus payment could pay huge dividends for him getting reelected. So I think he will push hard for another stimulus payment out to the American people. And finally, I want to wrap up this video by talking about some of the scams that are still unfortunately taking place. So if you haven't received your first stimulus payment, just know that the IRS is not going to be calling you. They're not going to be emailing you or text messaging you. And they're certainly not going to be messaging you on Facebook. So if you receive a link from the supposed IRS on your email through a text message, do not click on that link and do not give anyone any of your personal information. Do not give them your name, your social security number. Do not give them any of your information. The IRS is never going to be asking you for your information like that. And if anyone promises you for you to receive your stimulus payment earlier or receive it now, but you just have to buy them gift cards or give them money, do not listen to them. That's not the IRS. They are scamming you. And this may seem silly to a lot of you guys, but I've seen so many people fall victim to prey of scammers, especially in vulnerable times like these stimulus payments go. So please do not fall victim. If anyone's sending you links, if anyone's promising your payment quicker, they're liars. Don't listen to them. Do not even respond to them. So on that note, I am going to go ahead and wrap up this video. If you did enjoy the content in this video and you'd like to see more videos like it, please like this video. It really helps push this video out to other viewers like you. And also, please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel. At the moment, I am posting daily stimulus payment updates. And until next time, I'll see you guys, and I hope you have a great day today.